G'day, it's Mr. Bennett here again. Today we're going to be looking at the product rule. Now the product rule is really a way of working out when you've got two functions and you've got to try and differentiate them, and we break them into simple steps, alright? So once you get really good at this stuff, you'll be able to do this without having to write these steps. But while we're learning, we might do this, and as soon as you feel comfortable doing this, you can skip the steps and go straight to the answer. Alright, so I'm going to differentiate these. What I want to talk about is that we have two possible functions here. Okay, so a little bit different from what we've seen so far. We will call that function there, we'll call that one f, and we'll call this function over here, we'll do the green. This function here, this whole function, we'll call g. Alright, so now in textbooks, or if you see other videos, they might use, instead of using f, they might use u and v. Doesn't really matter. Alright, so it's just the idea of representing that as a separate function. Now, the product rule in your table is dy dx is equal to f dash times by g plus f times by g dashed. So the reason why we do this is so what we can do is that we can actually do the differentiation. So if my f is equal to that, my f dashed is going to be equal to simply, so it's an easy calculation, it's going to be 6x. My g dashed, I have to use my function rule, which is going to be 4x plus 2 cubed. So I've done my function there, and then I differentiate what's inside, and that works out to be 1. So in other words, it's simply going to be 4x plus 2 cubed. Alright, so now all I have to do is apply that in terms of my function. So my dy dx is equal to f dash g plus f g dashed. And so in this particular case, it's going to be equal to 6x times by g, which is simply x plus 2 to the power of 4, plus f of x, which is 3x squared, times by g dash, which is 4x plus 2 to the power of 3. Now you might see this simplified in terms of x plus 2 to the power of 4, and then you might combine these two things and make that 12x squared x plus 2 to the power of 3, and sometimes you might even bring out that x plus 2 as a common factor as well. Right, so let's do another one very quickly. We're going to say that is going to be our f, so our f function is in fact equal to x to the half, so that means my f dashed is equal to a half x to the minus a half. My g function is equal to 4x squared take 3x to the power of 5. My g dash is going to be 5x or 4x squared take 3x to the power of 4, and then I have to times that by 8x take 3, so that's got to be times up there. Run over. Alright, so when we start doing this, now obviously once you get good at this, you don't have to actually do the bit in red, you can go straight to the answer. So you can go and say that's equal to a half x to the minus a half times by g, which is 4x take 3x to the power of 5, plus f, which is root x, times by f dash, which is equal to 4x squared take 3x to the power of 4 times by g, what's inside the bracket again, so that's going to become 8x take 3. And that is my differentiation of all of that. It's really, I don't think it's that hard. Now the key to all these questions is to break it into two separate steps. Now if I gave you that question in the previous exercise, you'd have no problems going and doing that. If I did the same thing with G, if I put that as a simple question to you, you'd probably be able to do that without too many problems. So all we're now doing is combining that with the rule, and the rule is f dashed g plus fg dashed. Alright, so once you have a go at some of those questions, and we will probably work through a couple of those examples in class. Alright, so the key step is break it down. Alright, while you're learning this, I suggest that you do write down the red bit, but once you feel more comfortable with that, go and you can go straight to it. As an example, very quickly, I might just show you one that I'll do without using the steps. So if I've got y equals 4x cubed 3x squared plus 6 to the power of 7. The way I would do this in my head, and I'll talk to you while I'm doing it, I'm thinking this has been my, I picture that in my head as being my f. Okay, I picture this thing here being my g. Alright, but I don't actually do any of the red stuff. Alright, so all I say is it's f dash, so it's going to be 12x squared times by g, which is 3x squared plus 6 to the power of 7, plus f of x. Now I know that's going to be 4x cubed times by g dash. Now we've got to differentiate that, 7x cubed plus, 3x squared plus 6 to the power of 6 times by what's inside the bracket, that becomes 6x. That's done, finished. Alright, so once you get good at doing that, you'll be able to do it without using the red stuff. So good luck with those questions, and I'll talk to you soon.